Hey everybody. Hey, how's it going, y'all? Well, I'm out in the woods again for an adventure. I don't know, exciting adventure. Anyway, getting right to the point. Everybody knows that I love cordage. I love rope, I love paracord, I love it all, okay? So, but we're going to do a video where I'm going to show you 2 campsites using no cordage. So what it is I love cordage and I use it for everything. I use it for as much stuff as I possibly can. But just like YouTube in real life years ago, we used to pick 1 week a month where we would almost challenge ourselves to where we would go and find a campsite, set up a campsite with everything, the shelter, how we cooked. We would set everything up with no cordage, no paracord, no nothing. So first thing off, let's get started with I'm gonna start with a thing that's called I never forgot what it's called. A pack rack, that's it. And because there was other names for it, but first thing you got to do is you got to gather up like 4 sticks, and it's the first thing that you do when you arrive at camp. So I'm gonna grab up 4 sticks and then we'll get straight into our first campsite. Alright, what's the first thing that's missing in every campsite? Kitchen counter, kitchen table, dining room table. That's right, a place to put your stuff. Now, I think I've been with people before that they've taken their pack off as soon as they got to camp and just threw it on the ground. And they even took some of the items out and just spread them out on the ground. I know a lot of people do that, and I don't like doing that. For me, what I do is I strap it to a tree with bungee cords. But bungee cords are cordage. And this was a no cordage video. So in keeping with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the pack rack, or it's also been called the ring rack, I think, before. But what it is you grab up 8 sticks, you know, pick them up off the ground, cut some saplings down that are overgrown, too many, whatever. Okay, get you 8 of them, and I'll show you how we're going to assemble them in a minute. And then you get, see if I can dig them out of my pocket, rings, okay? Now, these rings, there's hundreds of different uses for these rings around the campsite, and but that's for a completely separate video. But what I'm showing you is the neat pack rack with these, and these rings can be bought. They can be made like I made mine, or they can be bought from like an industrial online internet supplier, or they can be even they're kind of expensive if you buy them as kung fu rings, but they're used in some kind of training for kung fu arts. And another thing, actually the easiest, cheapest way is if you wanted some rings, is to order them under what's called a snaffle bet ring set for a horse. That's got the rings on either side. It bites in. Well, anyway, another thing, you can use O-rings, but they tend to break, and they're very lightweight. You can experiment with them. You can get O-rings anywhere. But anyway, I'll ease you down here, and I'll show you how the rack is done with these rings. All right, I think I got you where you can see. And what you do is you get 4 of them, take 4 of them, and hold them. And then you take the other 4 and you just lean the other 4 in your arm here, okay? You take both rings and you slip both rings over, okay? Sometimes this takes a little bit of work. I haven't done this in a while. Okay, you put it on about belt high, 4 rings on 4 sticks. And then you pull the rings tight, okay? Then you take 2 sticks. 1 ring will slip down, and that's the reason why it's done this way with 2 rings. You don't want to slip down after a while. You slide 2 sticks in through the outer ring, okay? And then you take your 2 remaining sticks and you slide them through. Wait a minute, that's bent. You slide them through the other ring. Alright? Alright, you kind of wiggle them around real good. And then you slide this down to about waist high, belt height maybe. Ease you down here a little more. And then you just start spreading out all these sticks. Okay? Then once you start spreading out all these sticks, let's see, you just have to kind of work with it a little bit. And as you're twisting them around, see, it's going to fall down like that. Once you get them all twisted around down at the bottom, once you start, what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist these all around. You got to spin them around where they'll lock in down on the ground. I don't know if you can see that or not. You get the idea though. The way you're, it takes a while to spin these around. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spin them around and pick those rings back up, and then I'll get back with you. Alright, you have to spread the feet out down there, and you have to kind of stab the feet in the ground. You might could do it with cordage. My hand's not following. I'm looking backwards in the viewfinder. But anyway, that's what it kind of looks like. And the way you use it is what you do is you take your pack off and you set your pack over inside the middle right there. And then you can take all your items out that you plan on using and just hang them on all the sticks. That way you got kind of like a in-camp base area where you've got everything hanging. So let's check it out and see how it works. Well, that didn't work. Whatever. I'll hang it back up in a minute. Alright, put my pack in here. You put your pack right in the middle and it's going to kind of weigh everything down. So then you can just take all the contents of your pack and just start hanging it on here. I'll move you in a little bit closer here so you can get a better look. See, this is kind of cool now because you can just, you know, everything that's in your pack that you want to take out, you've got it right here where you can get at it. You know, my spoon came off. Let's see, first aid kit. I usually put the first aid kit aiming towards the campsite. See what that is. Okay. Yeah, and see right here you got your food bag and your hang up your pots and pans right here where you can get at them. So you just have everything hanging right here where you can get at it. This didn't really want to work out. Kind of tricky wrapping that thing around. Hopefully you can kind of get a better view right there of the pack rack. I got the pack sitting in it. It was kind of awkward setting it up at first, and I don't know why. Those things happen. This is real life. Now we're going to try to move right along. Let's see. Take these off. And right there. Alright, getting a little hot and sweaty in that other thing. Now, moving right along, this next shelter that I'm going to show you is called I think it was called the vacuum shelter. And that's because the way it's set up is if you have a fire out front, it'll draw the smoke away from you and around you instead of in the shelter. And all it is 2 tarps, no cordage. So let's dig the tarps out. Alright, what I'm going to be using today is 2 El Cheapo tarps. Let's see if I brought the right ones. Yep, sure did. Alright. What I'll be using for both shelters that I'm going to make, the 2 Cordage Campsites, a 5x7 and a 7x9. Okay? First thing we want to do is we want to find a tree or a long stick laying on the ground that's about 8 to 9 feet long. Once you find you a decent tree, whatever you need, find 2 trees, unless you got like a log for a chopping block, and wedge it between them trees. That's just to hold it while you prepare the end of it. All right, now once you got it wedged in between these trees right here, see that's how I'm holding it right here. You saw you out a V on one end. That's the first step. Next thing you want to do is you want to choose a tree to lean that stick up against. And you want to put the stick on the side where the wind is coming in your shelter, okay? Oh, and if there's any thorns and vines and stuff, clear them off, clear them out of the water. All right, what you want to do next is take your stick and lean it against the tree, okay? And you're going to kind of eyeball the angle that you're going to have. The V is going to be at the other end. Once you've got this angle, you keep that angle and then you saw it on the end of the tree. And you can kind of, if you pull pressure on it, it'll hold it while you're sawing. Just like that. See now, what you're going to do is you're going to lean it right against the tree, flat. Then what you want to do is find you a nice little stake that you can make. And then get you something to beat it in the ground with where that V notch is. Now it's basically a stick leaned up against the tree at this point. Now, once you got the stub at the other end, what you can do is you can either notch into the bark to keep it from slipping, or you can just give a tree a push, and it'll wedge it in there. Maybe even shove it into the bark. There, and it ain't gonna go nowhere. Or like I said, you can saw a notch into it. This seems to be pretty good for now. Oh, next comes the tarp. Wind's picking up. Now at this point you take the 5x7, okay, and you just lay it under it and you wrap it over it, kind of like a burrito. Kind of similar to my old, if you saw it, my tarp shelter with a floor video, and you put the 5 feet this ways, okay, because that's how you'll be laying. All right. Now it already fell off one time, so what I did was I just sawed a little bit of a notch in a tree. I know it upsets a lot of people, but it'll get better. And then I cut a little flat out here on the end. So push the tree forward, okay, and it should stay. You can V it too if you want to. Usually this stays. All right, you got your tarp laid down, and there's the center line. The 5 feet is this way. 7 feet is that way, and then you just roll it over. The top 2 grommets up there, let me get behind here. Whoop, almost tripped over the rack. The top 2 grommets up there, you put a stick in them through the eyelets to hold it together for now. What you have then, you've got this, looks like a burrito style shelter. Okay, secured by one little stick. Now you want to lay the other tarp over the top of it, and you want to put the 9 feet this way and the 7 feet that way. Okay. Alright, now you got like a double layered tarp. You got a tarp inside a tarp. And I'm going to show you how to make stakes to stake this thing down. Now you can throw rocks on the tarp. Let me show you. I've got a rock on the tarp right now, holding it down because of the high winds. But I'm going to show you how to make some stakes so that you can stake it down. It's kind of neat. There's 3 different stakes. I'll try to get to all of them in this video. Saw you off a piece of wood about 6 inches long. First step, go ahead and remove all the bark. Makes it easier for you to see the grain. Makes it a lot easier for you to see what you're doing once you get into it. Alright, next thing you need is you need like a chopping block of some kind. So what you want to do, sometimes for me, I like to make life easier. So sometimes if I find one, I'll make like a little flat spot for me to work off of. Alright. Because sometimes having a little flat spot, see, now you got your nice work area, nice chopping block. Okay. So what you want to do, take the stick and you want to cut a flat on each side. Okay. You want to try to get it parallel to each other. Maybe a little time consuming. Oh, just missed it. Alright. Gotta watch your little fingers. Alright, we have a flat on each side. Okay. So what you're going to do now is get the old saw out. Let's see. And what you want to do next is come down about 1 inch. Let's see if this is right. Alright, I had a malfunction. Okay, now you got your saw out. So you got your piece of wood with the flats on it. So what you want to do now, oh, my log's rolling. I still got you in spot inside. Okay. So what you do now is you hold it upright and you come about 1 inch from the end, okay? And you saw over halfway. Alright. A little over halfway, okay? Now, you've sawed this side. You're going to flip it around and saw the other side. About 1 inch from the end. Over halfway. Okay, so you got one side sawed on the top and one on the bottom, and you got 2 flats. Okay, now I'm going to zoom you down here close so that you can see the next part. You can get a good view of it here. Sawed on one side, sawed on the other side. Okay, got a flat here to work with. You got flats on each side. Now take your machete, you put it right in the center line and give it a tap. Alright. And as it comes apart, you have like this. Okay. Now, the next thing you do is you lay it down. Now, this doesn't always work. If it does, I'll stop. What you want to do is you want to put the blade to where it's sitting on the top and the bottom. See how I'm doing that right down the center line? Can you see that? Yeah, you kind of see that. Alright, you set it down. This is kind of tricky. This doesn't always work. Sometimes you ruin them. You want to put it on the center line, just like that, and give it a tap. There you go. Alright. Let's see if I can do that one more time. Set it right on the center line, just like that. Oh, I got you down here where you can see just a little bit better, okay? And it may help sometimes to cut a little flat on the back here to keep it from rolling around all over the place. I cut just a little bit off of it right here to make it sit flatter. Okay, set it down and put your blade right in the middle, touching both, okay? And then give it a hit. And there you go. And see what you've got now. Oh, where'd the other one go? Oh, well, I'll find it in a minute. Anyway, oh, here it is. Okay. And what you've got is out of one little 6-inch stick of wood, what you've made is you've made four stakes. Because what you do now is you just start carving them to a sharp point. Alright, and what you do is you just want to continue to carve on them to a sharp point. You may even have to turn them around backwards. Got you in camera? So you may have to carve up here, because what they're going to do is they're going to fit into those grommets. So you just carve on them. Then once you get you a handful of them, you go over and you stab them in the ground. And it'll hold the tarp down. Isn't that neat? Make a bunch of them in no time once you get good at it. See, once you got you some tent stakes made up there. So I got me one here, got one here. Take that old rock, you don't even need that rock anymore. See? It's just as simple as taking it and pushing it into the ground. And you're locked down, okay? Now let's go talk about this shelter. Now this is kind of dark right here. But what it is the idea behind this is if you have a small shelter, now as far as rain is concerned, you crawl inside there, and if you only had that shelter, you would have 2 to 3 feet of ground around you that is now dry because you have a double layer, okay? That's the idea behind using the shelter with the rain, okay? Because the further out you can keep the ground dry and the further out you can keep the rain away from you, the better off you are. And all you do is you just crawl inside backwards. Let's see if I can do that. There you go. Nice and cozy. Whew. Alright, now let's talk about the vacuum part of it. That would be where you would have a fire in the front of it, and there's a way of making the shelter draw the smoke around beside you. I'll show you how to do that next. Oh, now the idea behind this shelter right here is how it's like it's at a triangle shape. You got a point right over there, okay? And the whole thing, it comes straight down and it comes straight out as like a triangle, okay? So what you want to do is you want to make it to where right down here and these corners right here, you want to lift them up so that what you're doing is you're creating like a venturi on each side. It's like a tunnel shaped, it's like 2 tunnel shaped openings beside your main shelter, and I'm going to show you how to make the stakes to do that. Those are real easy to make. Alright, we're back at the old chopping block, and what you want to do is you want to get you start with some pieces that are about 8 to 10 inches long, depending on how high up you want the shelter. And of course, how far down in the ground you can dig it. Start with one end sharp, okay? what you want to do next is you want to put a flat on each end. Let's see. This has already got a flat almost cracked on it already. Alright. And then you take your saw, see if I can dig it out. And what you want to do is you're going to want to saw each end. Now, once again, having this flat block here is going to come in handy, because what you can do, let's see, how we're going to set this. Let's set this way. You can put a little bit of down pressure on it while you're sawing. Wait a minute. Sometimes it's better if you just put your foot on it. Let's put my foot on it and do it. Okay, that would be a huge never mind. Sometimes when you're sawing small things, the saw will be so aggressive that it'll lift it and your foot up. So sometimes it's better, since it lifts on the pull stroke, to put it behind a tree, okay? And that way, because the push stroke does almost nothing, it does no cutting, and you can hold it. But the pull stroke, you can use the leverage of the tree. And so what I'm doing is I'm sawing 2 slots down it. I'm going to go down about 1 inch. Alright, I got you cut on what I've done. So I'm sawing a V into it. There it goes. And see, it's going to jump right out of there, okay? Now the next thing that you want to do, let me move you over here. Alright, I got you away from that old pesky glare. Now the next thing that you want to do is, you got this thing sawed into a V shape. So what you want to do is you want to cut it on each side. Gotta go left-handed. You're trying to trim the insides. Still in there. Alright, got the insides trimmed. Then what you want to do is you want to trim the outsides to 2 sharp points. Kind of dangerous if you're going to think you're going to be tripping around camp, or if you're going to be, you know, boozing it up, because you may trip and fall on it. But anyway, let's go over and I'll show you how they work. It's a long time that I've done these that I realized I made a mistake on this one. I carved it to 2 sharp points, and that's not right. You're supposed to carve one of them to a sharp point and leave the other one flat, okay? But anyway, you get the idea. Now what you do with this thing is you take it and you lift up your tarp, and you take the sharp end and you stab, you curl it down, and then you stab the sharp end in, okay? Alright? And what that does is that wedges into the tarp. And then you turn it upside down, and then you stab it in the ground. Okay? And what that does is that creates an airspace right here. Okay? Now that airspace, what it's going to do is, if you have a fire in front of your shelter, it's going to draw wind. It's going to draw the wind through the shelter because it's like a funnel shape. Now see, you're just going to have to trust me on this. If you ever set this up, the wind is going to be drawn through the vacuum shape. Now, wait a minute, I made a mistake right here. I want to show you something here real quick. Okay. The center line, that's pretty important. That center line needs to be blocked off to the ground so that air doesn't go inside your shelter. But what it's going to do is it's going to push the air through the sides of the shelter, and the smoke is going to come out. Now I don't have time to demonstrate that today because we're going to be moving along to the cook set now. This is taking a whole lot longer than I thought it would. But anyway, I'm going to try to speed things up. Got kind of a slow start. Now for the cook set for this thing, On my keychain, I carry this neat little homemade jewel, okay? And I'll show you a quick close-up of it real quick. You can take these and you can hang them on your keychain, and you can also hang them like on the bag where your coffee pot is or your cook set. But basically, what it is it is 3 holes, okay, that are chamfered on one side, okay? Then there's a big hole next to a D-shaped hole, and it's chamfered opposite from these 3, okay? Clear as mud, right? We'll get to it. First off, grab 3 sticks, maybe about chest high, sharpen the tops and sharpen the bottoms, and then we'll go from there. Alright, I got the sticks right here. So what I want to do now is I want to stab them. I got them sharp on the top, sharp on the bottom. So what I want to do, stab them in the ground. Okay. Alright. Get them to where they're all reasonably level. Now let me bring you in a little bit. So you can see the top. Alright, you got 3 sticks here, okay? So what you want to do is you want to take the part that's chamfered and you just put it on, okay? You put it on and you just start mashing down on it, okay? Just keep pressing down. Sometimes you gotta pick them up and move them a little bit, stab them in the ground, situate them as you go. There. Now, there you go. And see, that's how it's going to stay. Let me lean you up so you can see the top view of it. So now what you have is you have these holding, and there's like a D shape with another hole. Okay? Alright. So it's just a simple tripod. You're going to have the fire right there in the middle. Now I'm going to show you how to make the pot hanger to fit that little jewel. This may not make a whole lot of sense, but what you do is you take a stick that is half the height of the tripod, okay? Alright, old bouncy log. And then what you do is you cut 2 flats down the sides of it. Once you do that, you got the 2 flats on each side. What you're going to do is you're going to cut 4 or 5 pot hooks up at the top. Now I've done this before, so I'm just going to breeze through it real quick and show you the end product, save time, because I'm running out of time. Alright, I am so glad that I didn't waste time showing the carving of that stick, because I broke the first one. So I had to start over, but you know, that's life. Okay, so you got a stick and it's got flats on each side, okay? And you I put in 5 notches. You can see how thin they get. They're easy to break, okay? And then of course you put a notch out on the end, okay? Notch on the end is what will hold your container, okay? Now, let's get you over here where you can see. First, I'm going to show you a close-up. This is about as close as I can get without the camera bumping the, what do you call it? The tripod bumping it, okay? Now, the reason for the 2 flats is so that they will fit inside here, okay? See the adjustment? I have actually got you on the wrong side. Let me move this. Here, let me just move it real quick. You can see right there, you can see the view that we have of the tripod and the stick. Okay, let me give you another closer view. Alright. Right there. Okay, now you can see, now you get the idea where you can see how the reason that it's got this other hole right here that's chamfered, and the reason it's got this flat cut on it, like a D shape, is because this goes up inside and hangs right there, okay? I don't have a fancy name for this. I just call it my keychain tripod. Isn't that cool? So I wish I'd actually spent more time on this than I would of the stupid tarp shelter, because this is actually a very, very cool setup for it just to be with a keychain. Alright, and you can just kind of make whatever you want to with a pattern like that that'll fit on a keychain, and you can use it for a neat little tripod like that. Alright, now we got to move on to the next shelter because I'm already on my second battery. Well, I've been on my second battery. I don't know why I drug around earlier. Alright, next up is this other shelter. It has no name, but it's actually, it makes a little more sense than the other shelter. The other's kind of a specialty shelter. But anyway, first thing you want to do is grab you up a stick or a log or something about 9 to 10 feet long, and then find you some trees that are on pretty flat land between about 9 feet long, and then you grab 3 sticks, and I'll show you how to prepare them. These 3 sticks are going to be about wrist size, and they're going to be about a little over belt high. Okay, I'll grab them up and I'll show you how to prepare each end. You don't do nothing to this stick. This is just a plain old big old long stick. Now you got your 2 sticks here. Where'd the other one go? Crap. Alright, what you want to do is you want to cut them to a sharp point, a flat with a sharp point. Okay, and then what you want to do is you want to wedge it between them trees and saw a V in the end like I did those others. This is so rotten it's almost broken out that way. It was rotten so it was easy to saw. I sawed right through it in no time. Now before I cut the V in these, I got the other stick. What I'm going to show you is the flats. Okay, they need to match each other so that it'll be just like this. Okay, because these will be leaned up against each other. It'll make more sense here in a minute when I got it set up on that big long stick. And another thing, I think these are long enough that I think I can just put my foot on these and saw these over there. So I'll try that. I got this one laid on the ground. Alright, that makes sense. Let's see, cut a little bit more out of here. Oh man, I love that silky saw. Alright, there we go. Alright, you got a little V sawed into it. Now, I'll saw the other one, and then I got to saw a third one just like this. On the first one, the single one, you kind of sharpen the end just a little so it'll stab in the ground. And you just kind of wedge it into the ground right there parallel to the tree. And then you take this log and you just rest it on it and you lean it against the tree. Okay, one thing real quick I'm gonna show you, because I'm not going, my log ain't long enough, but I'm gonna show you a use for a big O-ring. I think that'll work. Yeah, that'll work. All right, what you do, sometimes before you set these up, you take you a couple of O-rings and you just put them on and run them to the inside. Okay. That's going to be for another little cook set if the trees are far enough apart. Okay. These won't be, but I'm just going to show you so you'll have a basic idea, because O-rings don't weigh nothing. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to grab the other 2 logs. We'll go to the other end. The other 2 logs prepared, they have sharp points and they're V'd on the end. Okay. Now the way they're going to work is they are going to lean together and lean into the tree and that branch will cradle right into the V, and it'll support it. See, it even holds up my weight. I know that looked stupid. Alright, now, moving right along. Alright, you got the long stick leaned up between two trees, and you got this one stick stabbed in the ground holding it up, and then you've got the two sticks at the other end. Okay? Alright, now what you're going to do is you're going to lay a tarp on the ground for the floor, and then lay a tarp over the top for the roof. Alright, you can see I got the two sticks leaned up against that tree. Long stick going across. I got the tarp laid there, and I got the 5 feet going this ways, and the 7 feet, no I don't. I was right the first time. I got 7 feet coming this way and 5 feet this way, and I folded them over so that when I put the top on, I can just lay them over and I've got a floor. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the top part on, and you throw it over, and the 9 feet is this way, and the 7 feet is this way to match the floor. Alright. See, once you've got that on, then what you got to do is you just got to put stakes or rocks or logs along here. And I've got yet another type of stake I'm going to show you how to make. Alright, this next one is kind of easy. What you want to do is just grab you some wood, grab you a saw, and what you want to do is you want to saw kind of like a pot holder hook. You want to put an X here and an X here, okay? And then you want to saw it off here, maybe about 4 inches, okay? Alright. I got an X sawed into it. Now I'm going to saw it off right here about 4 inches long. There you go. Alright. Got an X in it, and it's sawed off. So now what you want to do is you want to baton it right down the middle. Let me get you down here where you can see. Get you down here where you can see. You got your X. What you want to do is you want to baton off the half that you X'd. Okay. So let's set it right here. Put it right in the middle. And then give it a good whack. Alright. It didn't come completely off, but what you got to do now is cut that little piece off. There it goes. Now see how it's got that point to it? What you want to do now is you want to start sharpening it. Whoop. Okay, what you want to do is you want to start sharpening it just like that. And then you take your knife and then you want to start undercutting right here. Now as you're undercutting, what you want to do is you want to make this end like a pot hook. Okay? And you just continue cutting all this off until it's sharp. Alright, now when you get finished with them, they're going to look like this. You stab them in the ground, and then this goes into the eyelet of your tarp. Let's run over there and I'll stab them in and I'll show you how they work. Alright, let's grab this first one right here. Now see, this tarp underneath here, let's see. See, this tarp was folded over and it's going to come up inside to make the floor. I'll show you that in a minute. What you want to do is you want to take this and you can stab this into the ground. Let's see. Can you see that? Okay, I just stabbed it in the ground. Let me just run you down here really low. Right. Okay, see how it's stabbed in the ground? The pointy part has held it in. That's how it works. There, see? And that's yet another stake. Okay? Let's grab another one over here. See if we get this one in the camera shot. Yeah, alright, let's do this one. Take this, put it as close as you can, stab it in. And there you go. A little bit more. Alright. And see what that does is the hook goes into the hook. Where am I at? I can't see nothing. There I am. The hook part goes into the eyelet and holds it down. Alright, now let's take a look inside here and I want to show you something. Now the way the floor works, you just get in. You just get in and fold the sides back. See there? Nice and cozy. Oh. Now, I got, getting old. I got two more things I'm going to show you real quick. Okay? One of them's got to do with this O-ring. Alright, now this tree here, the distance from the tree to the shelter is not very far. But if you had a really long log, okay, if this part here was a lot longer, you would have room that you could have a fire in front of your shelter. Now, the common pot holder that we all know how to make, that O-ring I told you about that weighs nothing, you just throw it on there. Well, you can use that little O-ring to hold your pot. See? Make it adjustable. No big deal. See, this is just a little bit better view of how it works. See, all it is an O-ring thrown on there. And all you got to do is you just take your pot holder, I mean your yeah, pot hanger stick, and it just, see, it holds. So, like I said, if it's, you know, if this was a little bit, if you had more room here, you could clear out in front of this tree and have a fire right in front of your shelter, and then you could just cook right in front of it, you know, no big deal. Matter of fact, you could scoot the floor back, and you might even could have enough of a little bit more higher up to keep the rain off your fire. But you might get smoke in your shelter then. Now, I'm going to show you next how to turn the floor into a wall so that you can have a windbreaker on here if you would like. Okay, now what I'm going to do next is I grabbed up some sticks that are about, I don't know, almost 6 feet long. And what you're going to do is you're going to lay them across the front. Okay, no big deal. Alright. It's going to be kind of hard to film this, but what you're going to do is you got the sticks laid over there, okay? You're going to reach in and grab the floor, and you're going to drag the floor out. And then you're going to fold each side over the stick. And then I'll show you how to lock it on the inside. Pull it out, pull it up. And fold it over. And that's how you make an end wall. I'm going to move the camera and I'm going to show you again for another view of it. Alright, let's act like we're starting over. You got the sticks laying here. All you do is lay them across the top, the ridge pole, ridge stick. You drag the tarp out, okay? Drag the tarp out and you lift it up until it just touches, okay? Lean the sticks forward and you just fold it over on the inside, okay? Now the grommets right here that are on the inside is what you're going to lock in with another stick. So you pull it up as high as you can and you just lean it over against the shelter and that gives you a wall. We're inside the shelter and it's very, very, very dark in here. We'll probably, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to lighten this up enough for you to see. But anyway, there's the floor down there. See my hand? Oh, you can't even see my hand. Okay, well there's the floor. Now the end wall, like I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to lighten this up or not. The end wall, what you got to do is you got to pull until these grommets line up. And then you just simply take a stick and you shove a stick through them. And what they're going to do is that's going to wedge this tarp since it's at an angle and keep it from falling down. Okay, now I'm going to bring you outside because it's so dark in here I don't know if this is going to work or not. I think I got you in shot right here. We got the end view right here and I'm just going to lean it forward. I'm going to try to lean it out. As you can see right here where I'm wiggling it. Now you can't see there. Let me move this around right here. Right there. Alright, now see, there's a stick locking it in. And what it is since this is a triangle shape, when you've got it locked in, it won't fall down. And you'll leave a little bit of gap up here at the top. See? Now I'm going to show you how you keep the top from leaning back out. What you got to do is get a big stick. Now that's a big stick. Now the way you do this is you find the stick that is on the outside and you want to put the log leaning on the same side as the one on the outside. And that's all it takes. And it'll lean, it'll put pressure against it, and it won't come off. Alright, now unfortunately I have run out of time, energy, and batteries to show the final cook set. But that's okay because the final cook set is the most awesome cook set that I know. And it's a no cordage cook set. It's called the Dovetail Wishbone. So I don't have time. I gotta take his shelter apart. But I do have time for a nap. So I'm gonna take the old fleece blanket and lay down in there and take me a nap before I gotta go. But I got just enough battery to say I'm I had fun. I hope you learned something. And all these setups, everything I've shown you, you can use paracord with them if you want to. But I'm just saying there's, you know, it's kind of a challenge to try to do things with no cordage, you know. You know me though, I love my rope bed. All right, I'll see you in the next one.